Here.
The district I've had trouble with this word today. The district records the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. Speakers wishing to address the board on closed session items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or the superintendent. You will be called to address the board and may speak up to 3 minutes. Please note, the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes, unless extended by the board, is allocated for each subject discussed. The Brown Act open meeting regulations under which the board must operate do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a comment. Announcement of closed session. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I was reading the wrong numbers. Approval of the agenda. Are there any questions about the agenda? Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Okay. Report out on closed session item topics. We're on number 7. Okay, the board met in closed session to discuss the closed session items. A, conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative, Darius Williams, Superintendent, Employee Organization, CSEA. No action was taken. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative, Darnice Williams, Superintendent, Employee Organization, LSEA. No action was taken. Conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, Agency Designated Representative, Darnice Williams, Superintendent, Employee Organization, LSMA. No action was taken. The Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Complaint. No action was taken. Okay, we're moving on to number 8, approval of the consent agenda. All items of the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from this section and placed in the regular order of business following approval of the consent agenda. Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay, we're 9, communications from LSEA.
And we're back. Tonight, the room is decently full with some fellow LSEA members. They've all been working in their classrooms outside of contract hours in order to be prepared for the students and to start the year off as calmly as possible. Unlike the administrators who are monetarily compensated for this time, unfortunately, we are not. Yesterday, bargaining chair Rachel Merlot and I had an in-person meeting with Dr. Williams, and we had the opportunity to meet the new cabinet. Welcome. We look forward to working with you this year. To our new cabinet members, board meetings are interesting here in Pacifica. Sometimes the boardroom is full, like this. Sometimes it's just the CSEA presidents and me. And sometimes we have to use an overflow room at Valimar. But always know the work you do here is important, and we are always watching and always informed. LSEA and CSEA appreciates the ability to come and address you at each meeting. There's only really been a need for the last few years for both labor partners to use this time at board meetings. I don't want to speak for CSEA, Where are you? Oh, they're outside. But I'm sure they agree. We are eager to get back to simply saying nothing at this time when it's our turn to speak. Believe me, you want us to get there too, because we can have some very long speeches here at the podium. Communication is key for that to happen. Hopefully this year it improves. Our certificated staff are really knowledgeable and have great input that we can provide to you. Please reach out to the many experts we have here in our district. We are always asking for more dialogue and conversation with board members about all things that go on. There are a heck of a lot more items than negotiation topics to discuss. Thanks to a meeting with Trustee Villalobos this summer, a conversation has been started about the need to improve and update our reading curriculum. Here's hoping that conversation continues. LSEA is appreciative of the calendar invites we receive to have meetings with the board members throughout the year. We're eager to help develop those agendas and get work done. There are hopeful steps, and we are looking forward to progress being made this year. Thank you.
Did you want me to do the flag salute? CSEA.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Charlene Hero. I am the co-president with Tiffany Hanna, and I'm here for CSEA Chapter 128. Welcome back. Welcome to our new cabinet members and staff. Last year was quite a roller coaster for CSEA, but this year we're all about fostering a more collaborative spirit and taking a proactive approach to support our staff better. Our top priority is to address our members' concerns about staffing and communication. Although these concerns still exist, we're confident that by working together with all our labor partners, we'll achieve successful outcomes. CSEA and LSEA members play a crucial role in keeping all schools running smoothly. It would mean a lot to us if you could talk to both unions members to understand the unique needs of each department and school so that we fully address the needs of our staff and students. At each meeting, CSEA will continue our tradition of highlighting members who are our unsung heroes. For this meeting, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of our custodial staff and CSEA members in the district office. Your hard work throughout the summer, preparing our schools for the students' return, does not go unnoticed. We are truly grateful for your dedication and commitment. We are committed to fostering better communication and collaboration throughout the year. With this in mind, we look forward to a year of productive meetings and successful outcomes, and making our speeches short and sweet. Thank you.
All right, must still be on vacation because I forgot to do the flag salute. So if everybody can stay. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Linda, do you have the land acknowledgement?
Yes. All right, land acknowledgement. The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone people. As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Ramaytush Ohlone elders and community. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland, and we affirm that their sovereign rights as First People. As the original stewards of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature. Likewise, Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land.
Okay, so now we're hopping back in. People wishing to address the board. No. Correspondence. You want to start? Correspondence. I did receive some emails through the summertime. A lot of them were from the county. And then I did receive a few from some of the parents or community members. And I did meet with them through the summer, and that'll come later. Anybody else have any? Board Superintendent Communications. Linda, do you want to start?
Sure. Well, this week's been pretty busy. I took most of July off just to recuperate, but started the week with cabinet and the rest of the board having a work study, and then we moved into there was some principal education going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was luckily able to be there a little bit on Monday and Wednesday. Really excited about that, everything I'm seeing. So, and that's it. We're back.
So I was able to attend the board work study virtually because I was sick, but I was there. That's pretty much it for me because the school year just started. I would like to say welcome to the cabinet, new and to Carla. Welcome back. Not just welcoming the new people. I haven't had an opportunity to meet you all, but I'm looking forward to working with you.
Likewise, the board study, and then I was able to attend the data deep dive with the principals, and that was a really good experience because professionally I spend a lot of time with data, and so it was fun for me to see our data in a way that I haven't seen, and it's not easy to see on the public sources. Like I look into our data all the time, and I go to eddata.california that's available to everybody, and this was the first time I saw our students' achievement data broken down by grade, by school, multiple tests, the correlation between that. So I'm excited for what learnings come from that.
Right after we got out of school, we had a governance meeting with Nicole Anderson and Associates on June 15th. I met with Lynette Lazar. Some of you might know her. She's now a community member, but she was part of our district for a while, and we talked about how we can increase the scores of our special ed kids, low income English learners, and ideas to go over that. And then I met with LSEA president, Megan, and we talked basically about how can we improve our kids' grades, because we've been kind of flat for years now. Tara Knotts, I met with. She's a special ed parent as well, and she was giving me her ideas. The level at which Lynette and Tara are at, they should be working for us. And then through July, I met with the superintendent, our weekly meetings. And then this past weekend, we had the work study with the new administration. Welcome. And also the principals. And it was a great way to start off the year with expectations, feedback about expectations and all the different roles of everybody. And then some goal setting, going over data, etc.
Thank you. I had the opportunity, welcome new cabinet. Glad to have all of you. Glad to be back for our first meeting for the 2024-25 school year. Had the opportunity to engage with board members in terms of our one-on-one meetings to talk about expectations, also to review some topics that are of great concern, one being a reading program for our district. Also how we can engage more our teachers in terms of decisions academically and with curriculum are being made. Had the opportunity to participate in the governance training, which was outstanding. We had a chance to bring in our site leaders and also our new cabinet to have a conversation and firsthand to hear about our district board goals and also some direction for the year, which will be shared with the entire community in the upcoming weeks. Continued conversation with our labor partners, LSEA and CSEA. This year, our collective goal is to increase our relationships and also our communication. We have scheduled meetings regularly now that we will meet with the board along with myself, with the cabinet members, and then also there will be opportunity to meet with the principals, our labor site leaders, And then also again with the cabinet and have ongoing communication about what we can do to not only improve our district, but also to talk about some of the things that are going well and some celebrations. In addition, I do want to thank both CSEA and LSEA for your collaboration, also your feedback, and I look forward to working together this year together in concert for excellence, not only for student outcomes, but also for better working conditions for our staff members as well. So thank you all for all that you do and had a good kickoff so far. Thank you.
Okay, we're on number 10, information items. A, enrollment report, and the speaker is Martha Ladd. And we'll be doing a review of the current enrollment numbers for Pacifica School District.
Hello, good evening. That's okay. Have a good evening.
I can see you all directly now. Good evening, President Villalobos, board members, Dr. Williams. I am Martha Ladd, and the interim director of special education and student services. And if I may just take a moment to say how wonderful it has been to be here this past month and these last weeks as everybody starts returning. My heart is filled with joy for the start of the new year and the enthusiasm of the administrators and all the staff that I've been meeting. They really are ready to greet our children on what I think is one of my favorite days of the year, the first day of school. So I'm excited to be here and to be a part of this group. This is my first enrollment report. And enrollment at this time of year is changing every day. So we tried to put like a stick in the ground, and that stick in the ground was on July 31st. And so we still continue to have students enrolling in our schools all the way up to and even after school starts. This is a chart that I put together on our enrollment by school, and then across the top, the grade levels, and then the number of students in each grade level. Our pre-K numbers are good. We are excited that the LMEC transition to Sunset Ridge and Ortega has been smooth, and we are excited to open our doors to children at those two new schools. The kindergarten registration, the majority of our students have received their first choice placement. District-wide, all grade levels, approximately 25 students remain on wait lists for enrollment at the schools of their choice. And student enrollment, of course, is fluid throughout the year. We are starting to see some stability in the declining enrollment over the last 3 years, with our largest decline being when we returned from the pandemic. And now we're starting to sort of stabilize. And so that's really good news. We are looking forward to online enrollment. Online enrollment will sort of take the human element out of it never takes the human element, but it will allow parents to go in and directly enroll in school, and our systems to pick up that enrollment directly and quickly. And then, of course, we would be working with parents one-on-one and in person for a pickup of documents and any needs that they may have to finish their enrollment at school. But we are looking for the next school year to be having online enrollment, which would start in March of 2025. Another area that we're looking around making sure that we're developing accurate numbers is Jean, who is our new program coordinator of student services. She and I will be working closely together to make sure that we capture all of our students who are eligible for free and reduced lunch by making sure that we have a period of time where we're able to collect those forms and have them count towards this school year. So we will be kind of making sure that principals have that information, how parents can fill out the form so that we capture that. Currently, 19% of our students are categorized in socioeconomically disadvantaged. 8.2% of our students are English learners, and 0.1% of our children are foster youth. And that is my enrollment report. Are there any questions? Yes.
First to comment, welcome. Thank you for a very concise report. That was very clear. I have a couple of questions. So this number looks about 52 under the enrollment for this school year. Is that like, do we see it pick up?
We're seeing it pick up.
Yeah, so you're
Yes.
starting to see some.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then my second question is really just for public awareness, because TK is rolling out in California and some of these things are new. What are the age, and if you can put the presentation back up just really quickly, what are the ages that parents can enroll their students for PK and TK?
Okay, so our pre-K program is a special education program. So it's for students who qualify and are eligible for special education in preschool. And typically students with moderate to severe needs, just to kind of provide an early start. TK, Universal TK, they are 4-year-olds. And the date from this year to next year is going to move. And so I can get you those dates on when those dates are. But we are in line exactly with the state guidelines, meaning that we are enrolling based on those state guidelines because that's how we get our block grant. So we would like to be able to enroll early or above that deadline, but because of the funding situation, because of funding, we are only going to be enrolling students that meet that deadline. So that can be hard if it's 1 or 2 days, but I think that serves the district and our children and our staffing best.
Yeah, it does hurt. My son turned 4 July 23rd, and I was like, oh.
Yes.
I just had a question about the declining enrollment. Maybe it's for you too. Does this mean that we're going to have work studies about consolidation with our middle schools or?
Sure, I saw that, yes. I know that the board had approved for us to do a demographic study. And I think that demographic study will give us a better idea of what the future holds, as opposed to sort of waiting on who enrolls. And then Dr. Williams has us looking at a variety of different variables and really really encouraging us with think outside of the box ideas to after that particular study comes forward to bring to you ideas for consideration as we move forward in the year.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just want to make a comment and thank you. Since as long as I can remember, we wanted to have online enrollment. It is so refreshing to finally hear that is finally coming.
Yes.
Thank you, and also welcome.
Thank you. And I'll be back in a little bit.
All right. So moving on, we're on B, ESS teaching and learning. Speaker, Dr. Bowman.
Board of Trustees, Dr. Williams, thank you for allowing me to have the opportunity to give you a quick overview of what the educational support services will look like and our goal moving forward. And as Ms. Ladd mentioned, I also want to take just a moment and a liberty to thank you for the opportunity to be here. The past 3 days have been really a positive experience working with the principals, and like Martha, everyone we have met have been very focused on kids and moving forward and the best way that we can help all children. So it's really been a positive experience just these last few weeks. So thank you. So the overview of the educational support services, and sometimes you'll just hear it as ESS. I would say the main thing is we look at instruction and the instructional programs. When you can please move to the next slide. Thank you. And so we are looking at all of our curriculums all the time, making sure that we are aligned to the state frameworks, making sure that we are teaching all of the standards. And we do that through all of our core subjects. We are also meeting regularly and looking at our art and music and physical education programs. There's another meeting this week where we'll be looking at music. We are taking a close look at our multi-language learners and the need for curriculum support and professional development. We have a few students who are in independent study, and even though it's independent study, we have to be very conscientious that these kids also need the standards and that they will be returning to school and taking the assessment. So we're really doing a needs assessment at this point. And I know there's been a focus on our students who aren't achieving at the levels that we would like to see. But as part of the instructional program for ESS, we're also looking at ways to accelerate programming and reach the kids who are achieving at a higher level. We are considering the STEAM curriculum and looking at our science and our technology and engineering and art and music, as I mentioned earlier. The ESS office in conjunction with the school leadership and we have a big lift grant, TOSA this year, and her focus will be looking at our TK through second grade reading program. And the funding for Big Lift, there is a huge component of parental involvement. And so we are already looking at programs to bring in. And we're not doing this in isolation. Through Martha's department and our coordinator with student services, they also have a movement towards parent involvement and parent commitment. And so we have teamed up on some professional development, some opportunities for training, and then we are meeting together and looking at different programs and different offerings that San Mateo may offer. And so we're being very, very focused, and we're trying to really bring in a coherent picture through the ESS office in conjunction with the other cabinet members' offices. And then, as you know, technology literacy is a huge part of instruction in this day and age. And I'm sure many of the kids in schools can operate things way faster than some of us. But we're also looking at it through our instructional lens and how do we support teachers through technology. And just a quick conversation that we had today was data gathering. And one of the first things that I kind of thought of is there an app? Is there a program that maybe we can simplify the things that the teachers are doing? And so we're always researching and looking at more innovative ways to do things that we're doing and hopefully increasing the efficacy and the efficiency of it. Professional development, thank you for the compliments for the Principals Leadership Academy. It was really a great 3 days. I think cognitively, all of us were on overload. The reason, though, is we had so many great conversations, and the school administrators were really seeking information to improve. And they were also very honest and forthcoming in some of the areas that needed, some of the growth areas that needed tweaked. And the cabinet members and Dr. Williams really listened to those conversations, and to the point where we kind of scrapped part of what we were going to do because it wasn't meeting their needs. And I think that they felt heard and were receptive to some of the things that we did. So I'm really looking forward to meeting with the principals throughout the year. We also, through professional development this week, we have organized our new certified staff training. And so our new teachers are getting the Lucy Calkins training for reading and language. We also have math and science. And one of the first things, no problem. One of the first things that I did as well is looked at, coming in, we're using somewhat of an existing schedule, but I was immediately able to work with principals and some teacher leaders and increase the professional development that we were giving at the middle school level as well. So we included them. And then as a former special education teacher and administrator, I walked down to Martha to say, your special ed teachers need to be coming to these programs. They're also teaching curriculum. So that also goes back to a lot of the coherency that we would like to see moving forward. The other area through the Office of Educational Support Services is the assessment accountability. And we will really be working towards to make sure that we have a high percentage of our students taking the state assessments. We're also looking at ways to improve their performance. And one example that a principal gave was have and maybe it was a cabinet member through the discussion about, have you taken the LPAC? Do teachers know what that looks like? And really getting down to the baseline and the knowledge of those assessments so that the expectations are clear of what kids need. I mentioned shortly a short amount of information about the parent and family involvement. And our goal is really to increase that. And we, of course, want the traditional reading night and math night, but are we able to do like a parent education where, we're walking down the market and mom can say, what does this cost and how much is this? And giving us real life examples. And so we're working together on that and very excited about what some of the preliminary plans that we have. Coming in, one of the first things through Dr. Williams' leadership was doing a needs assessment, not only of the curriculum, but we're also looking at our subscriptions, looking at usages, looking at how many teachers are using those programs, because we want to make sure that we're spending our money what is needed. But if we have a program that we're paying for and it's not being used effectively or the usage is low, is it needed? Does it need replaced? And so we're also looking at that. Through the district plans, we're reviewing and doing those needs assessment. We have updated the LCAP prior to me coming here, but we've been asked for a clarification for our LCAP and some new information, which will be sent in next week. We also, the Pacifica English Language Learning Plan has been, I don't think it's been updated since 2016, 2017. And so we have created a draft of an English language learners plan. And with the focus of, we have kids who should have or will be reclassified because they're meeting with success. And so moving forward with getting them recertified and then celebrating the growth that they have demonstrated. And that's part of the EL master plan that currently is a draft, but will be giving to you soon, hopefully. We also have been working on the development of a 3-year professional development plan. The cabinet and through Dr. Williams, we don't want professional development to be a one and done. Like, we need to come back, we need to spiral to make sure we're consistently meeting the needs. And that's an area that, through conversation, maybe the training was here years ago, but we have teachers and new principals coming in and making sure that they're through that cycle. And then also district plans like the SIPSAs. We'll definitely be looking at student data and connecting that, and hopefully looking at our subgroups of children who aren't meeting with the level of success we know they can meet. And then I mentioned briefly the Big Lift grant, looking at literacy at the early age from TK to 2. And one other thing not listed, but what we have recently started working on is a curriculum and a technology purchasing plan. Meaning, we have computers from 2015 that cannot be no longer updated. Well, how many do we have? How do we replace them? When is the year? So that we have a consistent budget of what is needed and then continuing to replace the technology, but also looking at the curriculum. There's a need for ELA curriculum, but we also have a new math framework that has just been launched, and having that plan so that we don't need all curriculums at one time or any resource material. So that is also currently being developed. And everything that we do is through ESS is data driven. And some of that may be qualitative, where we hear anecdotal stories and we meet with families and gather feedback. But as you mentioned earlier, we've taken kids, looked at grade, we looked at age, we've looked at CAS in relation to LPAC and attendance, and really narrowing it down and looking at individual kids of what we can do to support them. And with that, and I know through the workshop, we have these goals and this focus, but all of that needs to be within the budget and our funding through LCAP, and making sure that that's aligned. We're spending money that we have and that is connected through our instructional programs. And I mentioned earlier, just quickly, technology is something that's ever changing. We are looking at that. We were also sending some individuals from my department and also student services to the Synergy conference, where we pay for this program. How can we use it more efficiently? It has the ability to help us with attendance letters. It has the ability to help us follow through for independent study and what kids may need, and knowledge, acknowledging and documenting. And so we're really looking at the programs we have and how we can enhance the usage of them. And if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them, or any thoughts.
I just want to make the comment how thorough this was, and I'm so thankful for the deep dive that everyone's doing and getting this into the weeds and all this stuff. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. And so, in the session that I joined, looking at data, which we've mentioned for years of being fairly stagnant in this district, and I'm not even going to talk about the little dips and what have you that happen. But when you look at that, you realize that we're just missing it, really reaching and supporting a large group of students, right? We get to the average, but how do we differentiate instruction? And so what I would love to understand going forward are the strategies that you guys as leaders are thinking about for differentiating instruction, reaching those students that may require a little bit more intervention, may require additional support, and how that's being kind of built in to what all schools are doing across the board.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want to steal Dr. Williams' thunder, but one of the outcomes that we were really focused with this on these 3 days is what instructional shift or focus can we put in place for all kids, no matter what their grade level is. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to take the thunder, but we walked away with the principal's input and the information gathered that we're really going to be looking at formative assessments, meaning when we take a child and they're working, immediately seeing where that child is, what do they need, what did the classroom assessments tell us? And the second part of our shift is going to be looking at data. Formative assessment should be what you are planning your lesson plan for the next day is. And what we have gotten feedback on is that not everybody knows how to do that. And so with Dr. Williams and I will be working together on that, the data and the data dialogues. And so I would say walking away, I'm confident that we're going to see improvement with the instructional shifts. Will be as fast as I want, or what everybody in the room wants. Probably not, but it is definitely a place to start. And although the data has been kind of stagnant, there are a lot of really good opportunities for the data to move in a positive direction. So we're very confident as a team that we can work together and really support our principals, our teachers, and ultimately do what's best for kids.
Awesome. And I just wanted to highlight one other thing that you mentioned in one of the earlier slides is the focus on STEM activities. It's a point that when we look at surveys from our parents, it's really high in terms of their interest. But we don't often talk about it in the board meetings, maybe because of, the interests that are in the room or what have you. And so I think it's really good because when we survey our parent community, that always shoots up at the top, and we just haven't seen somebody mention it or talk about it and really raise it to that level.
And that's one of our areas that we are focusing on this year in terms of how do we restore our relationships with the community by communicating exactly what we're doing via data. How is my child performing? What strategies can I do at home? what are the specialized programs that we offer at each school. I don't think that we do enough of that. And this is an opportunity for us to share how are we working with STEM within our school district? Where are the bright spots where it's happening? And then how can we help parents to also see it, experience it, so they understand how their children and our students are experiencing it at the same time. So look for more information on that. Our goal is to make sure at each board meeting that we are giving you a briefing in terms of how we are aligning our actions to our district-wide goals, and also what strategies we're putting in place to support our students with improved outcomes, and looking at teaching and learning from a very specific lens. And that is, how do we service all students, from the students walking in and they are doing very, very well. We want to make sure that we're not just focusing on one group of students, that we have a wide range of students that we are serving, and being very deliberate and intentional about what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what the expected outcomes are to what the actual outcomes are. And then what opportunities we have to go back and refine and improve and support our teachers. And so we are looking forward to this year, and looking forward to engage our entire community in this conversation about data, about instructional shifts, and also about student achievement.
Anybody else have questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and moving on. Martha, is it okay if I call you Dr. Ladd or?
Oh, I wish you could,
Martha?
but I'm not a doctor yet.
You're not a doctor yet. And special education and student services report.
Yes, so I wanted to give an overview of those two departments. And we're going to start off with the ACE slide. And we're getting the ACE slide up there. The ACE slide is the attendance, academics, community engagement, and equity and inclusion. And the slide represents, to me, is my pause and a reminder to me and my team on how we center our work with families and children, and how we center our looks at data, our looks at programs, our looks at services, all the different things we do to support our staff in our offices, the teachers in the classroom, and our families. And so I do appreciate that we have this particular framework with which to center our work. Tonight, what I'm going to go over in both the special education department and student services is we'll take a brief look at the overview of what each department covers, a quick look at some data, and I'm happy to do deeper data dives at another time, but I just wanted to kind of just have kind of an overview on that data and its implications, and then sort of a look ahead to the opportunities that we're going to be working on throughout the whole year. Next slide, please. I typically start off reports in special education by briefly going over the eligibility criteria for special education services. It's a three-prong eligibility. You have to meet all three prongs. And the third prong is that a student with a qualifying disability requires specialized academic instruction, which cannot be provided through adaptations in general education, which means that some students may have a disability, but they may not meet all the prongs. And in particular, they may not need specialized academic instruction in order to access their education or in order to make adequate progress. And so that's what all the assessment process is really all about. And it's also a reminder that special education is not an intervention. It's a range of services that help children with disabilities make progress in school. The next slide. The next slide is Pacifica School District Special Education Programs and Services. Here are some of the highlights of our programs and services for students with disability. We do have a special day program here, which works with students with moderate to severe needs and regarding their cognitive abilities. In particular, you might see students in those programs with an eligibility of intellectual disability, level 3 autism, multiple disability, severe communication disorders, those types of things. We also have a resource program for our students where they are engaging most of the time in their general education and receiving some services, sometimes outside or they're outside of their classroom or with push-in services. And we do have a range of related services, occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, and augmented alternative communication services for students with significant communication needs. Our first dip into data is this is our distribution of disability categories in 2024. And we do really mirror state and national trends in our disability categories, with the exception of autism. Our autism numbers relative to the state and the county are actually a little bit higher, and so that is going to necessitate a little bit of a deeper dive with Betsy and myself and the ed specialist to take a look at what's going on there. Other health impairment, I listed it as OHI. I just wanted to say that means other health impairment. It's typically chronic or acute health conditions, and it does include ADD and ADHD, so a student may be eligible under other health impaired. Specific learning disability, we have 123 students under specific learning disability. Those are learning differences and also includes the categories of dyslexia and dysgraphia. The next data point is how many students in each grade level have been identified for special education services. And you can see in sixth grade, we have a significant bubble in sixth grade. And if we track that back 40 years, second grade would be a really important year for students in their education. And that was when we were in the pandemic. So there's something to kind of think about. And as we're moving the children to eighth grade and then on to high school, that we make sure that they're ready to maybe what level of least restrictive environment do they need, or how much of their general education can they really access, and what kind of supports do they actually need. You do see a trend going from pre-K up to eighth grade, where you sort of see an upward trend, and that's normal because as students go on, there starts to be a pattern of strength and weakness where we see maybe that we might want to assess. And typically, the areas where older students are found to be eligible are in specific learning disability and sometimes emotional disturbance and other health impairment. The next slide. Those are the data reflect. I think I just covered majority of those things. I did mention about the autism piece. We do have our overall. I think this is an important data point. We have 14.9% of our students, of our total enrollment of students, are eligible for special education. It's slightly higher than the state and county levels, but there has been another number that's been tossed around, which has been 19%. And I just really wanted to address that. I did a little bit of a dive like just a half an hour ago, and I looked at our dashboard and I looked at DataQuest, and I talked with the SILPA director, and I do not know where that 19% number comes from, and I'm very confident with our 14.9% number. It does represent a 3% jump from 2023, which is a large jump, but it's not 19%. And also a level of confidence that we are monitored to make sure that we're serving students with disabilities at both the county and the state level, and any level close to 19%, we would be in monitoring. And right now, the monitoring system is target 1, 2, 3, intensive 1, 2, 3. And Pacifica is in targeted level 2. So for least restrictive environment, it means they want us to review our IEPs to make sure that children have maximum access to their general education. And it's at a very low level of monitoring. So I just wanted to give the board that kind of confidence in our special ed programs. Other opportunities, and our SILPA partnered with us and created an action plan. And these are three of our top actions. Standardizing our behavior assessments. In consent, you approved our new BCBA. So we're standardizing our behavior assessments. We're adopting the SELPA guidelines for special circumstance instructional assistance, which are SKIAs. And then we're also looking to adhere to IEP timelines. There's many timelines, starting from when an assessment is requested to when an IEP must be held, how often IEPs need to be held. And so we're just going to be really working with our ed specialists, our principals, our school psychs to make sure that those timelines are adhered to. And if that wasn't enough, we were going to, we are doing a lot of training with our ed specialists on the curriculum that they're using to make sure that that curriculum is lining up with the curriculum in the general ed classroom so that when children are in their classroom, they are feeling like they can be a part of what is going on in the classroom and accessing, not only just accessing, but contributing. And we will be working a lot with Dr. Davis on a budget development planning and an expenditure process in special education, and developing our practices and procedures to the fidelity to the implementation of MTSS and our SST process. So that will help us in our pre-referral work before we get to making a request for assessment for special education. And now we're on to student services. This slide represents sort of the big umbrella of the things that student services works on: enrollment, attendance, school safety, discipline, and then the Title IX 504 oversight, school accountability report cards, retention, promotion, and then student records and home hospitals. So these are the things that get referred to our office and the work that we do to enhance the student experience here in Pacifica. For a data look, we wanted to look at chronic absenteeism over the 2020, 2021 was not reported on the dashboard. So we have 2019, which actually is okay because it's just before the pandemic, and then 2022 when we returned in 2023 last year. And what is good about the data is we did see slight improvement among all of our groups except for 2 or more races, but we're still above pre-pandemic levels. And that is Jean and I are looking to be standing here next year, showing you a lot of improvement in these numbers because we feel like we have a really great attendance plan. Tony Corden, who is the new principal of Ocean Shore, really made a lot of headway in the work that he did with attendance up at Sunset Ridge. And we're adopting a lot of those things that he did. And we will be really working to get kids to school. It helps children it helps children in their academic performance. And as a local control funding formula school, ADA, we will also benefit in terms of having more resources for kids. I also took a look at our suspension rates, and the numbers here are not unduplicated. So students could be showing up in one or more categories. So I did do a little bit of trying to unduplicate the numbers. And our suspension rate did decline by 0.05%, which represents 19 students. And while English learners and Hispanic students represented 47% of total students, it was nine students total. And so we'll be taking a look at things like alternatives to suspension, our tiered PBIS, tiered interventions, and the preventative work that we do for students so that it doesn't get to a place where suspension is in the conversation. And then our opportunities for the year ahead. We're going to be doing, the superintendent kicking off the Superintendent Student Advisory Committee as our way of incorporating student voice in the work that we're doing. We're looking at reinvigorating positive behavior intervention and support in our schools as our discipline process and the ways that we educate students about how to be at school. And then Jean and I have started looking at our student study paperwork, our SST paperwork, and we're going to be creating a cohesive standard of paperwork for the student study teams, and also doing that for 504s. Of course, our attendance campaign, and then our enrollment, online enrollment coming online. And that's all I have.
I just have a comment. In my 5 years of being on the board, this is the first time that anyone has broken down with charts, the special education, what our students' needs are, and the distribution of students with disabilities. And I really appreciate this. I just wanted to tell you, thank you. This is great. And you even answered my question that I had before we even got to questions about the sixth graders in the bubble of that spike coming up, saying that it probably had to do with the pandemic. So thank you for your work, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of this, and I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to also make a comment. I really like the 3 bullet points you had right at the beginning, just explaining what a special ed diagnosis, what gets us to that point. And I think the more that can be repeated throughout the community, for parents and teachers, and I think that would be excellent, because unfortunately, we have had a habit of just kind of referring kids, and so I'm glad that we're finally getting the language out there for everyone. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I just had another question. So we know that, like, with some of these numbers, breakdown. There it is. There it is. So when I looked at the chronic absence data, it was, really astonishing that we had, as a district, 7% absenteeism rate. What were we doing? I mean, I just want to know if anybody has an idea of what we were doing that was good before the pandemic, and then how we can educate parents after the pandemic. Maybe they're still keeping their kids home if they have a sniffle instead of a fever of 100. I'm just wondering what we can do to educate the parents as far as the attendance.
I agree. And I saw that and I was like, well, we are going to get back to that 7% because our kids, they do get sick sometimes. And there are reasons for chronic absenteeism. We will do a root cause analysis so that we have buckets, and then we can develop plans for each of the buckets. And just from work that I've done before, I think that we're going to find 3 major buckets. And one is that illness bucket, and one may be a result of parents being overly cautious about sending their students to school. So we'll find out if that is the root cause, and then that's a lot of communication and understanding that a kid can still come to school, will still benefit from school, even if they have a runny nose, and we will provide tissues. So there's that. And I mean, I think that was actually my example, is that illness could be one of the reasons. I do know, I have heard that sometimes parents are more likely to take their children out to go on a trip during school time in the elementary grades. And so we'll take a look at that too, because typically when unexcused absences are recorded, they're also recorded as to what the unexcused absence was. So it might be, they might say family trip on it, and then we would be able to track that as data. Sometimes parents request short-term independent studies. We'd be able to track that as data. And then that would be an education point for parents that there's lots of time off during the school year, and to really try and schedule their family trips at that time. Yeah.
3 quick things, sorry. One, I think the truancy or the chronic absenteeism, it is a statewide thing. I just looked at our county numbers and we're in line. So it's not that we were doing something dramatically different before that we're no longer doing. It's sort of a phenomenon across the state. Look at data. So great that we're proactively doing that. The second thing I wanted to mention is just to go off of what Linda mentioned. I think sometimes we think about it as special education students, but it really is students who are receiving special education services. And when they're meeting their goals, we move them to the least restrictive environment, which may be a general education classroom. And I think it's important to think about students in that way, as opposed to they're a group of students who, kind of are a characteristic in one area because they're receiving services as they need them,
Right.
To support their academic growth. So that's too, and I think that's great. The third thing I wanted to highlight is something that you highlighted, which was around the suspension rate. And you said, although 47% come from Hispanic and other underrepresented communities, that represents 9 students, which I think is great to call out, because 9 students is, you can rethink how we interact with 9 students, right? If that number was 275, that's a difficult number to think about at scale, but 9 students is so I appreciate the way that you framed that, because it is something where doesn't have to be 9 students next year. It's just 9 students that we can think about how to support them differently.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
I just have one more comment. Thank you for reminding me. I don't know how we're going to do this, but this has always been an issue. Just let me know how we're going to do it. The Native American groups are not included in our reports. And so, I know why it is, because there's a certain level that it needs to be at to report out, but they're still our students. And so if we have any groups that aren't meeting that that number, can we still have them in the report so the board can look at them and see them to make sure those groups are, how they're doing too?
Yes, absolutely. And I can put.
We will make sure that.
Well, one of the ways that I can track that number is to put a less than in there. So say less than 20, so that we're careful not to individually identify people. So that's why when it gets that group. So I absolutely can include a less than or a less than number in there, so that the size of that number is part of our count.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So now we're moving on to 11 action items and consolidated application 2024-25, Dr. Bowman.
So you'll hear it as the CONAP, or what it is an annual, by the end of June, the Pacifica School District has to submit a spring release of the document for participation in federal programs. And within that document, we make assurances that we're going to follow the procedures, the policies, the funding formulas, and the other legal requirements. This year, the release on May 1st, it was 2024, and the deadline for certification was June 30th. And you have attached that this is in conjunction with our LCAP process. The funding from various programs are documented in the LCAP and the LCAP addendum. The stakeholder and community involvement meetings were conducted throughout the LCAP, and the process for each year has included a final review, and then it has also included the approval of the Board of Education, the trustees. And we have done what we needed to do to meet those requirements. And so we would like the CONAP be reviewed and approved by the board.
Does anybody have any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Thank you. And then we're moving on to B, Resolution 2024-8-7A, authorized signatures, and this is an action item too.
Getting more President or Superintendent Williams.
And Dr. Davis.
Seriously, I'll take that. I want to just echo the sentiments of my colleagues here. As you can see, they're a very impressive group. I'm excited to be here in Pacifica with them, and I'm more excited to be working with them. We've all had very intimate conversations and times to get together and mull over the needs of the district, as well as work with, with the principals today and all the last couple of days. And we find this to be a very wonderful place that just needs the touch and thought and vision of yourself and Superintendent Williams. With that being said, we have an action item here. Resolution 2024-08-07, which is authorized signature sheet. In order for schools to spend their funding, it requires a 2/3 or majority vote of the board or of their designees. With that being said, unless you would like to sign each and every check yourselves, and I'm certain you don't because there's many of them, we ask that you approve the resolution before you, authorizing Superintendent Williams to sign, Dr. Torres to sign, Dr. Bowman to sign, myself to sign, and or Martha Ladd to sign in your absence.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? This happens every year. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
On favor, please raise your hand. The motion passes.
Thank you. You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay. Now we're moving on to C. Approval to hire an interim director of special education and student service. Action item, Dr. Torres.
Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. Welcome back to the new school year. Tonight, we'd like to bring for approval to hire an interim director of special education and student services. Martha Ladd has been selected as the interim director of special education and student services of the Pacifica School District. Ms. Ladd's career experience and trajectory include being a director of educational support services at Cabrillo Unified School District, principal of El Granada Elementary School teacher, and literacy coach. Ms. Ladd's most recent experience as Director of Educational Support Services covers developing and implementing the multi-tier systems of support framework, which includes all tiers of the whole child domain, supported principals in the supervision and training of educational specialists, paraprofessionals, and behavior technicians, and oversaw the Early Learning Center and Full Inclusion Preschool program. Ms. Ladd has also led implementation of the school-wide positive behavior interventions and supports process in her former role and expanded mental health, wellness, and behavior programs through state and federal grants. Ms. Martha Ladd holds a Master of Arts in Educational Administration from San Francisco State University, a Bachelor's of Arts in History from the University of Connecticut, and clear administrative services and multiple subject credentials. Additional professional development that Ms. Ladd has participated in is the Access Special Education Academy, Community Resiliency Teacher Training, the MTSS Professional Learning Institute, and the CAST Universal Design for Learning. We are excited to welcome Ms. Martha Ladd to the Pacifica School District community, and I'm happy to be her colleague. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire Martha Ladd as the Interim Director of Special Education and Student Services for school year 2024-2025. An employment contract for this position was developed and attached for board approval.
Questions, anybody? Welcome. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Tonight, we'd also like, go ahead.
Okay, now we're on D, approval to hire a program manager, behavioral and related services.
We'd also like to bring for approval to hire a program manager, behavior and related services. Marisela Garcia Plasencia has been selected as a new program manager, behavioral and related services for school year 24-25. Ms. Garcia Plasencia is a board certified behavior analyst with over 12 years of experience in applied behavior analysis, methodology, consultation, case management, designing and leading programs, and working with populations with developmental disabilities and their families. Her broad range of knowledge of infant, child, and adolescent social, emotional, cognitive, and behavioral development supports her understanding in how to create significant social change through quality, compassion, and collaboration. Ms. Garcia Plasencias worked with students in the Oakland Unified School District as a BCBA clinical supervisor and is familiar with working in school communities. Marisela Garcia Plasencia graduated with her Master's of Science in Child Development from the University of California, Davis, and completed her board-certified behavior analyst coursework at the Florida Institute of Technology. We are excited to welcome Ms. Garcia Plasencias to the Pacifica School District community. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire Marisela Garcia Plasencia as the new program manager, behavioral and related services for school year 2024-2025.
Questions? No, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
And we are on E, approval to hire a coordinator of student services.
We would like to bring forth approval to hire a coordinator of student services. And she just happens to be here with us. So Jean Bellinger has been selected as a coordinator of student services for the school year 24-25. Mrs. Bellinger has been in the field of education since August of 1995, when she started out as an English and advanced placement literature and composition teacher. For the last 4 years, she has been the Ocean Shore School principal in the Pacifica School District, where she has a proven record of successful collaboration with students, parents, teachers, staff, and community organization. In her leadership, she has developed a deep understanding on how to support students through her experience advocating for students that are struggling in school, whether due to learning differences, neurodiversity, or mental health challenges. Mrs. Bellinger continuously puts the needs of children first and makes sure that each child has access to a quality education. Other positions that Mrs. Jean Bellinger has been in are vice principal of Oceana High School, Ocean Shore School 7th, 8th grade social studies and language arts teacher, Pacifica School District humanities lead teacher, and founding president and director of the Pacifica Education Foundation. Jean Bellinger holds a Master's of Arts in English from Rutgers University, a Bachelor's of Arts in American Government with a minor in Women's Studies, magna cum laude from Georgetown University, and a single and multiple subject credential from the University of San Francisco. We are excited to welcome Mrs. Jean Bellinger to her new role as Coordinator of Student Services for the Pacifica School District community. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire Jean Bellinger as a Coordinator of Student Services for the school year 2024-2025.
Do we have any questions, comments? No? Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Jean's also a longtime parent. We're happy to have her. All right, and we are on F, approval to hire a principal for Ocean Shore School.
We'd like to request approval to hire a principal for Ocean Shore School. Anthony Tony Corton has been selected as the new principal of Ocean Shore School. Mr. Corton has spent 2 years as vice principal of guidance and learning at Sunset Ridge School, 3 years as a teacher on special assignment at Sunset Ridge School, and 11 years teaching at Ortega Elementary School. He has been highly regarded in each of these schools for his excellence in relationship building. Mr. Corton lives in Pacifica and is dedicated to Pacifica's community and to the field of education. He brings a deep commitment to fostering a nurturing and inclusive environment where every student can thrive. He is passionate about values of respect, celebrating diversity and academic excellence. He has been an educator since the year 2000 when he began teaching in Cotswolds, England. In 2008, he immigrated with his wife to Pacifica and both instantly fell in love with the community. In his life before education, he was a chef, an emergency telephone operator, and a professional drummer. Over the years, Mr. Tony Corton has discovered that what drives him the most is helping others. He finds joy and fulfillment in encouraging students to reach their full potential socially, emotionally, and academically. He is committed to working with teachers, parents, and students to achieve academic excellence and ensure a positive and enriching experience for all. Mr. Corton believes the strong partnerships between school and families are crucial for student success. Mr. Tony Corton received his master's in education from the University of Gloucestershire and bachelor's degree in history and religious studies from the University of Wales, Newport. Both universities are in the United Kingdom. Most recently, he has cleared his administrative services credential through the San Mateo County Office of Education. We are excited to welcome Mr. Corton to his new role as Ocean Shore School Principal in the Pacifica School District community. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve Pacifica School District to hire Mr. Tony Corton as a new principal of Ocean Shore School for school year 2024-2025.
Questions?
Just a comment, very excited for Mr. Corton. My daughter at Sunset Ridge will be very sad, but very excited for the students of Ocean.
We have a lot of broken hearts. Sunset Ridge.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, and now we are on G. G, approval of meet and confer for child nutrition program manager and updated classified.
Management salary schedule.
Classified management.
Classified management salary schedule. Speaker, Dr. Torres.
We'd like to request approval of meet and confer for child nutrition program manager and updated classified management salary schedule. Pacifica School District and Lori Miller, child nutrition program manager, an unrepresented management employee, met as part of the meet and confer process to discuss the district's comparability study and the related request for reclassification regarding the child nutrition program manager position. This meet and confer summary is contingent upon final review and final approval by the Pacifica School District Board of Education. The attached meet and confer summary reflects all the districts in the child nutrition program manager's understandings and completes the meet and confer process regarding child nutrition program manager comparability study and request for reclassification. Therefore, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the meet and confer for the child nutrition program manager and the corresponding updated classified management salary schedule. And the change was a $10,000 raise to each step on that position.
Does anybody have questions?
No.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, and now we are moving on to H, approval of first addendum of employment agreement for interim assistant superintendent of business services and facilities / CBO. Yeah, it's me. I'm the speaker. The next agenda item.
That's Dr. Torres.
No, I think this is
you?
my,
Yeah.
for the CBO.
Yeah, for the
I
CBO.
think it's just written wrong on that.
Yeah,
I see where you see it, but it's Dr. Flores.
Dr. Torres is for this one. You're the next
Yeah,
one.
no, she actually needs to.
She's the.
Yeah, I need to do all of this.
Yes.
You're right.
Not
No.
The next agenda item addresses the board's open session discussion and possible approval of a first addendum to employment agreement for interim assistant superintendent of business services and facilities, CBO. The first addendum of employment agreement contains the following material terms. 1, term. Effective retroactive to June 1, 2024, the district hereby employs the interim assistant superintendent and chief business official for 5 workdays during the period of June 1, 2024 and June 30, 2024. Salary. Effective retroactive to June 1, 2024 for each of the 5 workdays worked in June 2024. The interim assistant superintendent and chief business official shall be compensated at the per diem rate of $742.24, less than any applicable taxes and statutory and mandated withholdings. The first addendum agreement shall not entitle Mr. Davis to any fringe benefits, vacation, and leave accruals based upon a 5 work days work the 5 workdays worked in June 2024 and included in this first addendum agreement. Like I'm missing a page. Oh. 3, fringe benefits, effective retroactive to July 1, 2024, the interim assistant superintendent and chief business official shall be entitled to the same life insurance benefits, cell phone stipend, mileage reimbursement, and applicable degree stipends as those provided to other classified district cabinet level employees. 2, the interim assistant superintendent and chief business official employment agreement, as modified by the first addendum agreement, constitute the entire understanding that the agreement between the parties and no addition to or modification of any term or provision of the employment agreement, as modified by the first addendum, shall be effective unless it is set forth in writing, signed by the parties, and is duly approved by the Board of Trustees. This concludes the summary of the material terms of the proposed first addendum to employment agreement. A complete copy of the agreement is available from the district office upon request. Are there any questions? I know I just read this, but does the life insurance, is that in here too?
Yes.
Okay. Understood. Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the first addendum and employment agreement for the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services and Facilities / CBO?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second? I'll second.
In favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
The first addendum of the employment agreement of the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services and Facilities / CBO adds the following language under term, salary, and fringe benefits. What you got? Okay.
Oh, that's just text from the.
Oh, okay, so let's skip over that then.
You're on the next item.
So we're on I, discussion, consideration, and approval of superintendent's second addendum employment agreement. The next agenda item addresses the board's open session discussion and possible approval of a second addendum employment agreement with Superintendent Dr. Darnice Williams. The second addendum employment agreement contains the following material terms. Dr. Williams' second addendum employment agreement is effective retroactive to July 1, 2024, and includes the following revisions. 1, term. Consistent with Section 9A of the May 6, 2023 Employment Agreement, which provides that upon receipt of a satisfactory evaluation, the board may take action to extend the term of this agreement by 1 additional year, provided that such term shall not exceed 3 years, and parties agree to replace the Section 1 of the agreement titled term with the following. 1, term. District hereby employs Dr. Denise Williams as the superintendent of schools for the Pacifica School District for a term of 3 years, commencing on the first day of July 1, 2024, and ending on June 30th, 2027. Unless otherwise described in the second addendum superintendent agreement, the terms of the superintendent employment agreement dated May 6, 2023, and first addendum agreement dated June 12, 2024, shall continue without change. This concludes the summary of the one material item of the proposed section addendum superintendent employment agreement. A complete copy of the second addendum superintendent employment agreement is available from the district office upon request. Is there any discussion or comments or questions? No. So do I have a motion to approve the superintendent's second addendum employment agreement?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, now we're on J, Teacher Induction Agreement 2024, and that's Miss Dr. Torres.
We'd like to bring for approval this, good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Dr. Williams. We'd like to bring for approval the annual San Mateo County Office of Education Teacher Induction Agreement for 2024-2025. As you know, to fulfill requirements for the California Clear Multiple Subjects, Single Subject Credential and Education Specialist Credential, newly credentialed teachers must complete a California Commission on Teacher Credentialing approved professional teacher induction program. This is a successful state-funded and commission-approved induction program that has proven to increase teacher retention due to strong structure of reflecting on one's practice with a support provider, a coach, over a 2-year period. Pacifica School District offers induction to beginning teachers needing to fulfill their credentialing requirement. The teacher induction has 2 major components. 1, the CCTC approved induction program that includes professional development training, and 2, the support provider, the coach. We have contracted with San Mateo County Office of Ed over the last 8 years. It costs $2,500 for the support provider and $2,750 for materials and professional development per participating teacher, which equates to $5,250 per teacher per year. So a total of $10,500 for the 2 years to clear their credential. We continue to choose to contract with San Mateo County Office of Education to have a broader pool of support providers to fit the varying content and assignment needs of teachers, fiscal prudence, and to potentially build a program that is sustainable over time. This school year, we have 21 to 25 teachers approximately that will be participating in the teacher induction. 6 teachers are in their 2nd year and 15 to 19 teachers are in their 1st year. The total cost is approximately $110,250 to $131,250 for the 2024-2025 school year. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the teacher induction agreement for the San Mateo County Office of Education Teacher Induction Services for the 2024-2025 school year.
Any questions?
I have 2 quick questions. Not relating to this particular action item, but I would be curious to get feedback from the teachers on this induction program in general, because there are many different types of induction programs. I am hopeful that the county is an excellent one, but it would be good to know, is this induction program, do the teachers feel like it's meeting their needs as they onboard and learn? So that would just be a follow-up. And then just a quick clarification. We listed here that the district agrees to have the county hire the mentor versus hiring them ourselves, and just trying to understand that.
True, there are some school districts that have their own induction programs within their school district, and then they would hire the mentor or the support provider.
Program.
It's the whole
It's not just the
program.
mentor piece. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Any other questions? Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Engaged. Motion passes.
And moving on, we are on K, Resolution 2024-8-7B regarding Conflict of Interest Code BB 9270 biennial review of the COI action. Okay.
Thank you. Greetings again to the Board of Trustees in relations to the resolution 2024-08-07. It is the recommendation that the board adopt resolution 2024-08-07, adopting a conflict of interest code, which is a routine biennial document that the board engages in just to ensure that we do not have any conflicting interest, and then also that we are aware of the conflict of interest code.
Questions? No? Do you have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Great. L, approval of revised exhibit 5116-1, student enrollment procedures. Martha.
I'm back again.
The Pacific School District works to ensure board policies and administrative regulations are up to date and support students and staff in the local community. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the updated Exhibit 5116.1 as attached.
Are there any questions? Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you. All right, moving on to M, contract for furniture at 4 sites. Action item, speaker, Dr. Davis.
Good evening again. This is action item, contracts for furniture for sites. It is recommended to the board that we authorize us to enter into a contract with the lowest bid responsible for the purchase of district funds, purchase of district equipment and materials, delivery, installation, and related services for furniture at Lacey Middle School, Valmar School, Cabrillo School, and Ortega School. The process in which the bid went through was for us to make certain we participated in a piggyback assignment that yielded three vendors. Of those 3 vendors, 2 submitted successfully. From that process, we also went out for a public bid, and one vendor submitted successfully. With that being said, it is recommended that we purchase from the vendor Media Education.
Any questions?
I have a question. I appreciate there been the priorities as you have been onboarding into the district, but I'm curious to know how often student furniture is refreshed in the district.
Well, there's a life
Yeah.
typically of furniture from 5 to 7 years, depending on what it may be. This being desk and chairs, it's within its lifespan.
Okay.
I don't have data on when the previous furniture was purchased, but in speaking with our bond manager, she mentioned to me that it was in that lifespan as well.
Okay.
I
I'm just curious.
I think it might have been like the last bond,
Yeah.
right?
It's been a really
It's been
long
a
time.
long time.
And this is coming out of the bond money.
Mrs. Monroe.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
So do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve. I wasn't trying to not have students.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're down to N. Board of Trustees School Assignments 2024-25. Dr. Williams.
Good evening again, Board of Trustees. We are excited and we welcome the 24-25 school year. One of our favorite topics is assignment of schools. And so as you can see, we have presented the assignments for the 2022-23, 23-24, and proposed 24-25 school year. At this time, if it is indeed your desire, it is recommended that you retain the schools that you were assigned last year, 23-24, to continue to build relationships. If it is your desire to change, we are open to those changes as well. So,
Is there,
so let us know.
is everybody okay with the assignments? Is this an action item?
Yes.
Yes. So do I have an approval?
Motion. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, and now we are let me just check it. Recap of today's meeting or future agenda items from the board members. Nothing.
It was a good meeting.
Yeah.
Very excited about the school year.
I just want to welcome everybody again. It's really nice starting fresh and having a reset this year. And just excuse me, this was my first meeting back Forgot the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yeah, I feel bad.
We didn't have the kids. The kids are the kids do the Pledge of Allegiance. That's why.
So nobody has anything to add to an agenda later?
No, I just want to say welcome again, and I'm going to come and say hello before I leave.
All right, so meeting's adjourned at 7:35.